The Architecture of the Self. Understanding Atma, Mind and Thoughts 1. Introduction. The Perspective Shift. The question, who am I, is the ultimate inquiry of the spiritual world, yet it is often shrouded in unnecessary mystery. To understand the I, we must first look at how we function in the world. In society, we operate under the law of survival of the fittest, where the ego functions as a competitive driver, using intelligence and strength to secure its place. However, within the sanctuary of a family, this same I shifts. Parents, though stronger, sacrifice their comforts for their children. In this setting, the ego softens and underplays itself. This reveals a critical truth. The ego I is not a fixed entity, but a variable state, and it is the root cause of the resistance and friction we call problems. To solve the mystery of the self, we must shift our perspective. Consider a student on an excursion to the hill station of Ooty. He goes to a shop to buy coconut oil, expecting a liquid. The shopkeeper instead hands him a solidified paste on a banana leaf. The student is confused, yet both are looking at the exact same substance. The oil has merely changed form due to the cold environment. Core lesson. We must approach the I with the right perspective. Just as the liquid and the paste are both coconut oil, our permanent nature, Atma, and our temporary psychological states, RMD, are different forms of the same reality. To understand the truth, you must look past the form to the substance. The journey from confusion to clarity begins with distinguishing the permanent from the temporary. 2. The screen and the movie. Defining the Atma and the mind. The relationship between the self, Atma, and your thoughts, mind, is best understood through the analogy of a movie screen. The Atma is the unchanging screen, while the mind is the ever-shifting movie projected upon it. The screen versus the movie. The Atma, the screen, the mind, the movie permanent, the unchanging basis for all experience. Temporary. Thoughts and images come and go constantly. Real. It remains when the projection stops. Shadow. A reflection or projection with no independent reality. Unaffected. It is not harmed by the fights in the film. Impacted. It is defined by conflict, drama, and change. Hidden. Often ignored while we focus on the action. Explicit. Highly visible. Captures our full attention. Key insight. The basis of experience. Why is the screen unaffected by the problems in the movie? Because the screen is the fundamental ground. If a hero and villain fight on screen, the screen is not bruised. If a fire rages in the movie, the screen is not burned. To understand why the Atma remains hidden, consider the dreamer metaphor. In a dream, you may play the role of a traveler, a friend, or a victim. You are the creator of the entire dream, yet while you are dreaming, you identify only with a single character. The dreamer, the Atma, is the basis of everything, yet it remains hidden behind the roles it creates. This is like the 100 marks analogy. If you score 70 inches math or 80 inches science, the total 100 is the implied basis behind every score. Similarly, behind every seen object, there is an implied seer, the Atma. 3. The mechanics of thought. Why problems persist. If the Atma is unaffected, why do our thoughts feel so heavy and persistent? The source teaches that the natural life of a thought is actually less than a second. It is like a note played on a piano. When you strike a key, the sound emerges and immediately begins to die. The reason our problems seem to last for years is not because the thoughts are permanent, but because we keep striking the key through a 3-step cycle of resistance. 1. The emergence. A thought or feeling arises naturally based on your circumstances, the initial key press. 2. The resistance. You find the thought unpleasant and attempt to drive it away or fix it. This is the irony of thought fixing thought. 3. The regeneration. By using effort to shut off the thought, you are actually striking the piano key again. You are giving life to dead feelings, forcing them to stay longer than their natural lifespan. The struggle is a fundamental misunderstanding of timing. You are trying to kill something that is already dying. 4. The already gone phenomenon, thunder and dreams. To liberate the mind, one must realize that by the time you notice a thought or feeling, its strike has already passed. Light travels faster than sound. When you see a flash of lightning, the strike has happened. When you hear the boom of thunder a few seconds later, the danger is already over. The application. Thoughts and feelings are the thunder of the mind. By the time they reach your conscious awareness, the event is over. Reacting to a thought is like trying to move an email from the trash bin back to the inbox. To act on a past thought is to retrieve garbage. Similarly, consider waking from a dream. You wake from a nightmare with a racing heart. You do not need to go back into the dream to fight the monster. The monster is dead because the dream is over. The fast heartbeat is just a lingering echo. Recognizing that thoughts are already gone removes the need for a psychological goal. 5. The end of seeking. Enlightenment. As intellectual discovery, enlightenment is not a mystical state or a feeling of bliss. It is a scientific discovery made by the intellect. It is the realization that there is no goal to reach. The seeking mind. Always looking for a problemless state. Seeking enlightenment is no different from seeking money. The egoic friction is the same. The non-seeking mind. A mind that has understood, with the certainty of a mathematical fact, that the I is a temporary phenomenon. Staying still. In the spiritual context, this does not mean physical inactivity or being dull. It is the absence of a psychological goal. It means the mind is no longer trying to get somewhere internally. The traits of a liberated mind times harmony. The gap between the observer and the observed closes. They function as one. Different dimension. The mind functions meticulously in the world, but without psychological stagnation. Feelings move through like a stream. Mathematical certainty. This is the 10 plus 2 equals 12 principle. Once you know the sum is 12, the mind stops calculating. It doesn't look for 11 or 13. Discovery ends the search. 6. Conclusion. Living in the different dimension. When the search ends, the mind does not stop. It begins to function in a different dimension of free flow. Without the ego trying to retain pleasure or reject pain, thoughts move through the system and purify themselves naturally. Think of the mind as a musical instrument with many keys. You may think the sad or painful keys are bad and try to pull them out. But if you remove the keys you dislike, there is no instrument left. All keys, all feelings are necessary for the cosmic system to function. A liberated mind doesn't fix the keys. It realizes that every note has its place in the symphony of external life. By letting go of the internal struggle, you gain the energy to handle external life with meticulous care. You move from a state of stagnation to a state of flow, where the I is no longer a barrier but a participant in the divine movement. Takeaway. Enlightenment is the mathematical discovery that there is no psychological destination, allowing the mind to transition from a stagnant pool of seeking to a free-flowing stream of cosmic consciousness.